This is episode 9, and this is the Ask and You Shall Receive podcast. We do have a good one today, as always. I'm joined by Mr. Joseph M. Carey. He is a representative of Slightedgewealth, a key business to helping individuals from high clientele to anyone, anywhere on your journey financially to get where you need to go and not only have a slight edge, but make a big impact for your future, your family, and your lineage as well. So I welcome you on, Mr. Carey, and let's get right into it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Now, I really want people to know what it is that you do, because if there's one thing I can say I've heard so far this year, man, it's probably the word recession and the other word being interest rates this year especially. So please let me know and let the audience know what it is you do and really how your company helps a lot of individuals through these tough times.
Sure. Well, basically what we do, we sit down with individuals and business owners and really try to assess where they are financially. And we, holistically map out, that path for them to reach their financial goals and objectives. And that can mean a myriad of things, but everybody's financial plan and everybody's, goals and objectives are different. So we really try to assess that through fact finding and just finding out what they have, what they don't have, what's important to them, what's not important to them, from retirement goals, when do you want to retire, to legacy goals, to wealth transfer, what legacy creations. We even help individuals get out of debt, cash management. So there's a host of things that we do. We do insurance planning, from life insurance, disability to long-term care, things that individuals might not be thinking about. Sometimes people have that I'm exempt attitude, but nobody's exempt. So we believe, prepare for the worst and expect the best.
Yeah, something that a lot of my audience were mainly in the younger age. We're really not thinking in the terms of, health insurance, life insurance, or even really retirement. We're living now. We're worried about now. We're worried about today and kind of the circumstances going on today. But I think it's extremely overlooked, the real benefit of having life insurance and not only starting now, because I don't only think this is something that can help you individually, but also moving forward in the future for your family and to actually start leaving a legacy here.
You know what, you're right. But let me say this about life insurance. Life insurance, it's not my parents' life insurance, and it's totally different today. And I think a lot of people don't understand it. And unfortunately, a lot of advisors in the wealth industry don't understand it. They're not talking to individuals about it and all the great things that it can do and how it can benefit you while you're still alive. So, we know the 401k. That's an IRS term. That's where that name comes from. It comes from code 401k. So that's where everybody's being herded to put their money into that. But nobody knows about, the plan, the 7702 plan, code 7702, that talks about how you can create cash value in life insurance. Then you can extract value tax-free. And you can use that while you're still living. Most people think life insurance, they think about, well, I'm going to leave this money for someone else when I die. That's not the case these days. So for me, I'll give you an example. I've been overfunding an indexed universal life insurance policy probably for the last 17 years, putting about $50,000 in there a year. Now, what does that mean? Hey, I got a tremendous amount of cash value that I can access tax-free right now. I'm not hindered by 59 and a half rules like most of your IRAs are. If I touch that, I'm going to be penalized. I don't have to worry about that. I can borrow from myself. I can be my own bank. When I want to advance the business or grow the business, I don't go to Bank of America. I go to the Bank of Joe Carey and I borrow from myself to advertise, to extend the business or put myself in a position to grow the business. Or if I just have emergencies, on my own, I can go to that and borrow. But at the same time, I'm also accumulating money that over time, when I get to that retirement age, which for me, I'm going to be 52 soon. So, I feel like I'm, age 70 is when I'm probably going to slow down. I'll probably never retire, but I'll slow down. But then I have tax-free money that I can use in retirement. It's tax-free. And you only can put right now you can put $7,500 if you're 50 or older into a Roth. And if you're under that, it's $6,500. But see, I'm putting away 50 grand a year into this one. See, we nickname this in the industry, we call it the rich man's Roth IRA. Because if you're earning a certain amount of money, you can't participate in the Roth. So, but even if you're not, I think, and the younger you are, the more this can benefit you, because the policy values are low, and you can put away less money over a longer period of time that's going to grow, that puts you in an insane place financially when you hit 50, 60, or even if you're thinking about an early retirement like 55. This particular strategy with this product is amazing when I show people. When I show younger and older individuals, they're just like, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know this could be done. So that's the difference in our firm and how we stand apart from the rudimentary wealth management firm, because we believe that insurance is a vital part of that plan, and protecting assets, things of that nature, from volatility, recessions, and all these other things that we're hearing today.
I love the entrepreneurship quality right there, man. You ain't worried about retirement because you're too passionate. I love it, man. I love it. But really, to make these key points is, everyone right now, they're worried about what? The circumstances right now, how things are going right now, the terms they're getting from the banks, the interest rates they're getting from the banks. But you're literally giving people an opportunity to do things on their own terms and provide for their own terms. Tons of people right now are saying, oh, banks aren't giving out funding. Banks aren't loaning this. Banks aren't loaning this. Or if they are, it's at an extremely high interest rate, where with something that is extremely overlooked and kind of has a negative connotation, I guess, just because they're not properly educated on it, it's really something that can lead to extreme freedom. And I know there's even books out there where they talk about the Rockefellers and some of these really common last names that were parts of America that honestly kind of played this out, and you kind of see how it's still working out even now, 5 generations on, 6 generations on.
This is true. One of the books I read a lot is Think and Grow Rich. And then, of course, I have my own book that I'll recommend. It's called Financial Insight with a Slight Edge. And it's on Amazon. But just really getting people to understand just the simplistics of, the different investment vehicles and insurances and things of that nature, and how it can benefit them. Because I hate to say it, millions of people are being hurted. And if you really don't even understand why the 401 was created, you really got to understand. And even the inventor, the guy who came up with the 401k, he even admits that it's out of control. It's out of control. It's fees that individuals are paying knowingly and unknowingly, and mediocre performances. And then the simple fact that you can wake up tomorrow, if the market decides to collapse, and you can wake up tomorrow and your money in your 401k is gone.
Now, for a young individual and a young adult today, and they're hearing these things we're talking about so far, they're like, man, I don't even know what you're talking about already. Give me something I can use today. I really want to ask you yourself. You were in a young man's shoes not long ago, and I got to ask you, where did you start? Where did you, come to figure all this out? Or, were you in like the best of situations, or how did you get this knowledge? And then how did you use it for yourself?
I wasn't in the best of situations. I grew up in Baltimore. I grew up poor, in poverty, and things of that nature. I didn't know whether I was coming or going. But I did an internship, if you will, a co-op at the university I went to, and I had the pleasure of working at Alex Brown and Sons. And that was probably my sophomore year in college. That's how I got introduced to the financial industry. And that's when I said that I was going to do that once I was finished playing basketball. That's what I was going to do. But once I had the opportunity and got into the financial industry, I started with Prudential. That's when I started to wake up and like, oh man, it's so much I didn't know. And so, but then I even had that awakening, if you will, of realizing that sometimes the industry itself can be jaded. And I started realizing certain things about mutual funds and the excessive fees that people pay and all these different things. And then I realized that I'm going to have to go against the grain of the industry. I went against the grain of the industry in my business because I started finding out some truth about certain things that the masses are being told to do that I didn't agree with. Once I did the research and found out, like, no, there's a better way, there's a safer way that can still get you there. Like we were just talking about what you can do with life insurance, but annuities are demonized insanely in the financial industry. That the typical or the average advisor, they're telling you don't do that. Investments. I have to say the name. They spend millions and millions of dollars telling people not to use annuities. And an annuity is the only financial vehicle other than Social Security that can guarantee you lifetime income. I'm afraid I'm going to run out of money. Now, can you at a young age, can you do some things and really benefit from the market, mutual funds, stocks, things of that nature? Yes, you can, but you still should have a safety piece in it. The safety piece is the life insurance strategy and the annuity strategies. Those are the things that will anchor that plan. I don't care 50, 60, 70. Those are just tried vehicles that have always sustained themselves through just about any economy. So it's really just getting the knowledge, getting the truth, getting the facts. I don't believe in the truth anymore because everybody's truth is different. Your truth is not the same as mine. So I go with the facts because we can talk about our truth, but when we get together and we talk about facts are indisputable. It's cloudy outside now, but I know the sun is there. That's a fact. That can't be disputed. So I try to go with that and really try to get people to see it, put it in front of them, let them see it, let them see examples. And then, I put it back to them and say, well, I'm showing you this here versus what you're being told to invest in. And I'm showing you the evidence of what they do over time. Do you want to make some changes? Do you want to, our term is, do you want to complete your portfolio? I can help you complete your portfolio. So many people have investments in things of that nature, and they've done well and things of that nature. I can't take that from them. But I will tell them, if you don't have that insurance anchor on the retirement income, and also even on the supplementary income, your portfolio is not complete. Because you can wake up tomorrow and those investments in the market in any form or fashion can be, dwindled by 50% or more, depending on what this economy decides to
do. It's kind of scary because you're really talking about just individuals starting to ask some fairly simple questions. And honestly, the fact that they're not, and it's allowing for the banks and many individuals to kind of get to the points where they're at now, where they're able to make these certain fees and certain residuals on other individuals' incomes and things like that, just by them not even wanting to ask the question or just giving them that amount of control. It's really scary. And kind of in today's world, many younger individuals are not really believing in this 401k. They're not really believing in the asset managers at these big banks and things like that because of the stories you're starting to hear slowly. But the main thing is realizing that you actually have the chance to use all of these options to your advantage and have that own personal control, regardless of the economic status, the world status, and any of those situations.
This is true. There's a lot of things going on that people know about, and probably the majority of people don't. This whole currency thing, like this, the BRICS situation with Brazil, Russia, China, coming up with their own currency to rival the dollar, and this push towards a cashless society. Those are concerned. I don't know if a lot of people understand it, but we're on the precipice of some drastic changes that could be very debilitating for a lot of people. And I don't have the answers to how it's going to go or what the remedy is, but it'll be a loss of control for a lot of us. It'll be a loss of control where if everything is digitized, man, it just is not a good picture. It is not a good picture. We have no control, and if you usurp the system, you can be cut off. A switch can be flipped, and it seems like it's the danger of certain things wrapped in convenience. But when you flip that coin and you look at the other side of it, it's like, I'm going to pay for this convenience. I'm going to be controlled in this convenience. And now it's just like, wait a minute, hold on a second. I don't know if I really want that. But I think a lot of individuals in your can be the ones that really demand some changes, because the largest population in the United States, right now, the baby boomers are, unfortunately, a lot of them are going to start dying. So now the next largest group is probably your generation and younger, that have to really stand for change and make this thing somehow demand that things change. We've known things needed to change for a long time, but everybody keeps saying it takes time. Well, how long does it take to make the right change and to make the changes that people can do the things they always want to do? They want to have a career, they want to save, they want to buy homes, they want to do things of that nature. It seems like it's so hard to do that. Rents are out of control, home prices are out of control. The prices for consuming things are increasing, but the wages aren't. So there's a lot to take a look at and really try to figure out what's going on. Where's this going to end up? If I'm going on what I'm seeing, it doesn't end well. It doesn't end well for anybody that is, everyday middle America, middle class. Obviously, the poor, they always get the bad end. But there will be no middle class. That'll be wiped out. It'll be the rich and then the poor. That's where we seem to be going.
I think it really comes down to two things that we're kind of hitting on is A, the initiative, and then B, asking these right questions. People are constantly always being caught saying that we need change, because they have asked the questions and they're not liking the answers. But from there, the government wants us to sit there and continue to be passive and just let them figure things out, when at the end of the day, we need to be taking the initiative, whether it is a life insurance plan, actually starting some sort of investment or retirement account, especially ones with the tax benefits like we've been talking about. So many people right now are like, it's better for my money to not do anything, but then it's losing money due to inflation. Then if I'm putting my money in the stock market, well, there's going to be a recession. So you're losing your money this way, and everyone's like, okay, so what do I even do with my money now? And I really think this is the prime example from here.
Well, my dad always told me to stay in the middle. Don't go too far to the right, don't go too far to the left, stay in the middle. The middle of the road, the life insurance strategies and the annuities. That's the middle of the road. And then you can still complement it. I look at individuals, let's say your only market exposure should be the 401k if you're working on a particular job that offers it. Everything else should be in these other things that we're talking about, because it's going to be safer. The 401k is the most risky investment that millions of Americans have. But they're being told that it's the best one. They're being told that it's the only one. The media, the propaganda, and all this other stuff is like, put it in your 401k. Susie Orman tells everybody to put it in the 401k. But she doesn't have her money there. she has what we call triple coupon bonds, where her investment is safe. What's my other guy? I can't think of his name. Gosh, what's his name? All the church people love him. Dave something.
Mr. Ramsey.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, I mean, financial peace. He's pushed financial peace. Now listen, the things that he says about credit and paying off your debt, I agree with him 100%. But when he gets off into people what investments to buy, one size doesn't fit all. And you'll get a 6 to 8% return, but that's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get that return on that fund. So, in legal, he can't even give advice. He's giving people finance, he's telling people what they should do. That legally, in the terms of FINRA and the SEC, is him giving advice, and he's not licensed. He's not a fiduciary. So, with so many people, he's pushed it to a sect of individuals. He's pushed it to a large majority of the Christian world. Boom, they go with a hook, line, and sinker. I mean, he's just a talking head making money.
The advantage of having someone licensed like yourself, not only working with individuals, but with businesses, because especially in times like this, if you can work with a business and go into that company and actually inform these individuals, because they're all, hearing that same information from whether it's Mr. Ramsey, Ms. Orman, wherever they're finding it from. But if someone has a business and they're able to find a licensed individual like yourself, bring them in and find these plans, I really think that's where this change starts to begin, because so many just go in there to their business and they say, oh, after my tax deductions, just throw the rest in the 401k. As compared to when they see a licensed individual like yourself and they say, hey, you think you're using your full advantages because the company's matching here and there at 2%, when at the end of the day, your returns might barely beat inflation for the year, as compared to working with a licensed professional like yourself, where they can have these insurance plans to where they actually might be able to do things in a much sooner process. Like, say they want to buy a new home in 10 years, they might be able to more likely do that through a life insurance policy than through the returns they get on their 401k.
Yeah, well, I like to call myself a licensed professional that hasn't sold out to the industry. Because there's a lot of licensed professionals that they're just all one-sided. So you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And whenever I study for any of these licenses that I currently hold, they always say that life insurance is the foundation to any financial plan. Whether it was we're studying for the life insurance license, whether it was studying for the Series 65 to be recognized as a fiduciary. When you get into CFP studying, they're saying the same thing. Industry demonizes those vehicles. I don't understand it. Again, we just go against the grain. We really try to get people to think. I mean, home ownership. You mentioned home ownership. I really try to challenge people and ask them why. Why do you want to own a home? Do you just want to own a home because that's the American dream? Why? There's a lot that goes with home ownership. You don't make any money. Your home was an investment, not the one that you live in. You don't make any money until you get the second home, the third home. Those are the ones that make money. The one you live in doesn't make money. Ask the people from 2008 that were underwater and had to short sell or go into foreclosure. Did they make any money from those homes? So I really try to get down to people with what's your why. When we start talking about making major purchases and even the thought or the mentality about saving and investing. Well, tell me why. I'm always curious about my clients or prospective clients, what's your mentality? What's your thought process on that? I'm not going to say you did anything wrong. I just want to know what you're thinking, and we'll have an honest conversation, and I'll tell you the facts, and we can go from there. So, but I'm not for everybody. I'm not for everybody, and I know this because one of my favorite scenes in The Matrix when Morpheus is walking with Neo in the simulation, and he tells them that he said anybody can be an agent, and he goes on to tell them that he said a lot of these people are not here to be unplugged. He said they will defend the very system that keeps them enslaved. And this is what I see day in and day out. This is what I see day in and day out, where people don't even question it. They just go with it because it's what everybody else is doing. I'm just doing what they told. This is what they told me to do. Did you ever ask why? Have you ever, have you looked up where the 401k came from? Have you asked the question of why pensions don't exist anymore? Because the pension died, then came the 401k. So when you start thinking, well, the pension was like I worked 20, 30 years and then I got an income for the rest of my life when I retire. They don't do that anymore. Now it's up to the employee to take their money and put it into this plan. The employer may match. So there's a lot that people really need to start saying, hey, I really need to look at this objectively and understand why I'm doing the things I'm doing. Who told me this and why? We have something called the color of money. And it's a simple form or a link that we have people to. It shows people how much risk they're taking on with their savings or their retirement savings. Show them the difference in the risk. And most people, when they take the time to do it, they're startled. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know I had that much at risk. I'm like, yeah, you got 80% of your money at risk and you're talking about retiring in 5 years.
Young individuals, I really don't think they realize, including myself, I've overlooked this for many years, of the benefit of taking the initiative and starting now. Because I see so many older folks where, there's many examples where I look at them and I'm like, unfortunately, I don't want to be in that circumstance. But again, most of them say, I should have started sooner, or I should have done this earlier, or I should have put these things in place sooner. But I really don't think the message is still getting through to many individuals at the younger age. But the best part is you're in your healthiest moments in your life in your 20s. And if you can take that time and go ahead and get your examination so you have a clean bill of health and you have your best policy possible for life insurance, it's almost a no-brainer, honestly.
You're absolutely right. Somebody told me, let's see how high we can stack it. Because there's a whole lot of variables, this mindset of the 20, 30-year-old that I had myself. Far worse now than when I was 20 and 30 because of social media. And we're being bombarded. We're being bombarded with buy. A lot of young individuals have that YOLO mindset. Like with wages being in the situation they are and the prices of a lot of things going higher, they buy these things, now they're stretched. They don't have it because they're. Then unfortunately, a lot of people associate their identity with their purchases. I got this car and now I'm somebody, but I don't have any money. I don't have any emergency funds. I barely have anything going in my 401k, or I'm not participating at all. I don't understand these products, truly. I asked somebody on my job what I should do, and they told me to put it there. We got a lot of that going on. They asked the older lady or gentleman at work what have they been doing, and they're taking advice from them, financial advisors within the company or associated with the company that you can pay for advice, but most people don't want to pay for that. It's anywhere between 0.25% and 1%. They don't want to pay for that. So it's really it's very grim when the financial literacy doesn't raise and individuals start doing something different.
The fact that we can just simply take that 1%, they're considering that fee to be a deal breaker where in the long run, what you could be getting in return from that 1% could change the trajectory of your life in the future. And I think it's really in that mindset, like you were saying. People are looking at it on paper and they're like, "Oh, I gotta pay this guy 1% for what?" When on the other hand, they don't think, this guy is licensed. He knows more than me, rather than me just kind of going about this aimlessly. Where that small percentage of information and him letting me know what to do could actually end up me ending up here rather than there 10 years from now.
There's some truth in that. There's some truth there, but I still think the financial literacy is the key. Once the financial literacy is researched and grasped, accepted, and implemented, I mean, there's some individuals that they're not going to need to pay some 1% or less, because they're going to do the research and they're going to do their own investing, and they're going to see that. There's some individuals that are like that I'm like, you really don't need me. And then there have been some people that had the knowledge, but they just didn't have the time, and they hired me. It was like, whoever you hire, if you hire a financial wealth manager, their feet to the fire so that they can do what they said they were going to do. And if they're not doing what they said they were going to do, like I have clients that just trust me, and I tell them all the time, I appreciate you, but I have to be thorough with you. So what I'm recommending, why I'm recommending it, what it will do, what it won't do for you, based on what your goal objectives are. That's the exact words that I tell every client. Because I've never had a complaint in this industry, and I don't plan on having any complaints. I read every day about people being swindled out of their money. And these ex-advisors, these now ex-advisors going to court, going to jail, being they were financially ignorant. That's how you do. I mean, we see the professional. You don't have to know everything that I know, but you need to know enough that you can hold me accountable in regards to what we put together for your goals and objectives, financially speaking. And that's what we educate in hopes of the financial to increase. And then we talk regularly. We revisit the plan to make sure because I want my clients to have financial success. I don't want to have all this financial success and none of my clients have financial success. That looks crazy. I just made a lot of money. But I like the fact when my clients my clients now still getting checks. They're going to get them for the rest of their life.
I like the name of the company as well, man. We're not just talking about, changing a life, but we're talking really about changing a legacy. And that really only comes from just having a slight edge over the common, normal, everyday human being. And I really think it's crazy of how much that slight edge and that slight difference can really make that ripple effect for the future. I do want to thank you for honestly doing this. And I do want to know, like, what gave you the initiative to say, I want to not only just help people, but I want to really make sure they're on par with what I'm doing. So we're on the same wavelength, regardless if they're my client or not. And the fact that you're doing this, just as you said, not for profits. You're not doing this for yourself, but you're there so you know your clients 10 years from now, 20 years from now, they're safe financially. They have comforts and they have things that are there in place, whereas they wouldn't have had a chance prior.
Slight Edge, I read the book years ago called Slight Edge. That's where I got the name of the company. That's why it inspired me to call it Slightedgewealth. One of the key points in that book was doing little bits consistently over a period of time to get desired results. And that's really, we want you to do little bits over a period of time to get the desired results, to get people to buy into that. I've always been the slow and steady guy. We're not trying to, we don't chase returns. You know, you chase returns and then you end up falling into a pit somewhere. But if you can get solid, decent returns over a period of time, you're going to be fine. Because really, if you look at the stock market, if you're getting 7 to 8% return a year, anything over that, it's not going to keep. When you look at the history of the market, it doesn't keep up. But if you're getting those types of returns, anywhere between 7 to 10% being generous, getting rid of the debt, mentality about purchases and why you're purchasing things. What's the importance of it? How's it really helping me? Why should I do this? Why shouldn't I do it? Thinking what we've been propagandized about home ownership, because home ownership isn't for everybody. It's not for everybody. I really try to get people to go there. The car, okay, why? why that $80,000 car? I'm not against it. I've owned one before, but I have no need for that now. I just don't. I've just gone myself through a financial transformation and realized that a lot of things that I was on were really about ego. And I started really getting down to what's really necessary. 25 pair of sneakers. I don't even wear one a day. Why? And I like to dress. I mean, I like to look nice. I like those things, but excess doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And I took myself through that after, a life event. I went through a divorce and I had to really confront myself on a lot of these things. And I was doing this, I had retail therapy. I was spending money because I was miserable. So there's a lot of things that are going on that I really try to challenge individuals with. I always say the best friend is the one that doesn't always agree with you. And I feel like my clients are my friends. They've trusted me. And if I see them about to walk in a hole from a financial perspective or something of that nature, and then money ties into the personal side of life, we really try to look at life, and money is an integral part of everyone.
I have one final question, and that's extremely precise because you're not just looking at the monetary side and just strictly producing results. You're bringing it all together. What life are they living? You are checking on their habits, their characteristics, and honestly, that's exactly how people need to be looking at money rather than just the strict number side and the end result side. Last but not least, though, I do want to ask you, I'm sure you've already made a lasting impact here, but what else would you like to see in terms of your impact here made on the planet, just overall and for the future ahead?
I'd like people to consider taking the journey that I've taken and really getting in touch with themselves, looking inside themselves, understanding that every desire, every need, it's not on the outside, it's on the inside. And understanding that the only one that can do the work is you. That transformation, that road, however hard it is the beginning of the beginning. Because now you start to realize that how insanely powerful you are, how insanely powerful your mind is. It's what God meant when he said, I made you in the image and likeness of me. It had nothing to do with physicality or appearances. It had everything to do with the abilities that we have. We can think a thing into existence. We can speak a thing into existence. And develop empathy. Develop empathy. If I can promote anything, is to encourage someone to develop empathy, because as your empathy increases, you stop thinking about yourself more and you start really looking at other people, and you can see yourself in other people, regardless of what we look like, complexion, how you vote, what your faith is, We're all connected. And if I can find a way to see myself in everybody I encounter, you know, hopefully I'm inspiring them to do the same thing. And then the more we focus on empathy, the more we can forgive, the more we can be less prejudiced, the less we hate, the less we want to divide ourselves. And those are, I'm promoting love for all. It's in my business, it's in my life every day. That's where I'm at. That's what I want to give to the planet. That's what I want to leave. Promote to understand that we are all an aspect of God.
I really want to thank you for coming on. I know our listeners got a lot out of this. I know there's probably some things that, of course, they were unaware of, but I think this episode really left a chance for them to not only reflect, but also really start to ask some questions as well. And from there, they can honestly build and start their own ripple effect in their own lives towards their goals and towards being a better version of themselves as well. So I really want to thank you for that. Please let people know where they can find you as well, whether it's for your services or anywhere that they can find you. Please let them know.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was my pleasure. It's Slight Edge Wealth Management, LLC. The website is slightedgewealthmanagement.com. If you want to call me, my number is 904-483-0746.